And then I said, no, I misspelled Kanye. You're funny. I can't believe we've never met before. What's your major? Me? I'm a computer science major. I love it. Huh, you don't look like a CS major. What's that supposed to mean? This jerk probably thinks CS majors are just like the stereotype. I don't know, I mean, not to be insensitive, but you're wearing a shirt that says, I'm not a CS major. Right. Hi, I'm Jarvis, and today I want to talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. This might be a rant. In college, and even a lot since I've moved out to Silicon Valley, people are often surprised to find out what I studied or what I do for a living. And it's not like a novel surprise, like, oh, you do underwater welding? Wow, I had no idea real people did that. It was more like, wow, I'm pleasantly surprised you don't fit my stereotype for a CS major at all. I mean, for one, you're sociable. Yeah, well, you're funny and you're black. What? If I say software engineering stereotype, we all think of the same thing, right? Awkward, nerdy, white and male. All right, everybody chill. It's in the stereotype, okay? Despite the fact that computer programming rose in popularity as a career choice in the 1940s during World War II and was dominated by women, the number of women in computer majors and jobs has declined sharply since then. And it correlates perfectly with the rise of the personal computer, which just so happens to be marketed primarily to boys.
This morning, Brian Scott made a career decision. His first giant step, learning to use
an apple.
And there was the proliferation of the American nerd in movies and television, and totally by coincidence, women may have felt less included in their computing courses because suddenly all these guys had computers that were marketed specifically to them, which compounded their advantages and gave them an easy way to dismiss people who didn't have the same head start. Nah, coincidence. Probably one of the most badass programmers of all time was Grace Hopper, who was an admiral in the Navy and created one of the first compilers. And now we've got...
Is it true that you can leap over a chair from a standing position?
It depends on the size of the chair. I'll cheat a little bit.
And is astronaut ice cream a real thing?
I mean, they seem nice. You know what that sound means. It's time for Guess That Programmer, the one and only game show where I present you with a photo and you have to guess whether or not this person knows how to write code. All right, first round. Does this person know how to write code? No. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. That is Ginny Rometty, CEO of IBM. She joined IBM in the 1980s as a systems engineer and rose through the ranks. Okay. Round two. Does this person know how to write code? I mean, this photo looks pretty old, so no? Wrong again. This is Dorothy Johnson Vaughan, a leading mathematician in the aerospace industry. She went on to become a Fortran expert at NASA and was portrayed by Octavia Spencer in 2016's Hidden Figures. I guess I should have realized what this game was by now. Round three. Does this person know how to write code? Yeah, definitely this guy, right? No, this is a cartoon. This is literally a character from South Park. He looked like he might be. Does this person know how to write code? I know this one. That is Thomas the Tank Engineer. Yes. The judges are telling me it's Thomas the Tank Engineer. We're gonna give you half credit. Final round. Does this person know how to write code? No way, that's Liam Neeson from like the Taken movies. Come on. No, he doesn't know how to program. Yeah, that's gotta be right. I mean, how did this even get in here? Hang on, I'm getting a phone call. Hello, this is Jarvis.
I don't know who you are. What I do have are a very particular set of skills I've acquired over a very long career.
Oh. Wow. Yeah, wow. You did actually study computer science. All right, well, we're gonna count this one wrong, or else Liam Neeson's gonna kill me. Is that common knowledge? There's actually this really awesome hashtag started a few years back called I Look Like an Engineer, which aimed to show some of the breadth of stories in engineering that don't fit the stereotypical mold. It seems like we've gotten ourselves into a place where these stereotypes have a lot of power, and they've shifted a bit, but they still don't reflect the real world. Like black engineers account for like 1 to 2% of the software engineering jobs in the US, which is like super disproportionate to the 13 to 14% of the US that's black. There's like slightly better numbers earning degrees, but it's still only like 5%. For women, most estimates are around the 17% mark, which, you know, pales in comparison to the 50% of the population that is female. If I had to guess, I'd say media coverage has a lot to do with this. We talk about Silicon Valley a lot, which really suffers from a lack of diversity, but we don't often talk about DC, where 17% of the highly technical workforce is black. Most of those jobs are like in the Department of Defense doing cybersecurity, so it's important stuff. We're also at the point where movies and news stories have no reason not to go along with the stereotype, and suddenly that's the image of the entire industry. This is why representation is so important. Growing up, I didn't have any aspirations of where I am today. I didn't think I'd ever leave my hometown. I certainly didn't think I'd study computer science. I had so many misconceptions about my aptitude and potential as a person because of a lack of examples of people who look like me doing that stuff. If it wasn't for people helping me realize the opportunities that I could have, I wouldn't be here. One of the goals of this channel is to show people who had similar aspirations to me and who come from similar backgrounds that the stereotype is not, in fact, the reality. I don't know about most people, but I don't think there's as much malicious intent here as there is a lack of understanding of the context and history and systems at play that got us here in the first place. And people typically don't want to believe that their identity has any baggage associated with it, so I'm already worried about the comments to this video. I'm sure a lot of people think of these stereotypes as harmless, but they can snowball into environments that are only inviting to people from certain backgrounds, which compounds underrepresentation amongst certain groups and widens the gap in mutual understanding and empathy. Which brings me to this comment thread on my video about not going back to Google. All someone said was, I love seeing other POC in tech, keep it up, your channel is great, 100 emoji. It had some positive responses, but it also had some that seemed to miss the point of the greater dialogue. Are you saying this because you feel like there's a minority of POC in tech? I feel like there's a huge representation of POC in tech, especially from Asian Indian ethnic backgrounds, LMAO. IDK if your definition of POC is anyone who isn't white, but there's pretty large demographic of POC from my experiences. Now I know the original commenter meant underrepresented groups in tech, but this person misunderstood where he was coming from. And then someone says this, I would rather people love seeing me for the content of my character and for my technical skills rather than some superficial, unalterable physical characteristic. Yeah.
Me too.
That's the whole point of this. Now this particular person says they harbor no ill will, and I believe them. I would also rather people see me for the content of my character and my technical skills and what I bring to the table rather than these superficial, unalterable characteristics. But in a lot of cases, the way I look has changed the way that people treat me, which in turn affects my life experience. Like I regularly get people telling me I've only gotten to where I am due to affirmative action. But it doesn't matter how many accolades I collect, there are always gonna be people judging me for these unalterable things, and that's kind of the point here. I asked some of my Twitter followers about times when they were told that they didn't seem like a software engineer, and the stories are pretty telling, and I want to share some of them with you. For some, it's just a matter of behavior. Like, yeah, it's not uncommon for me. I'd say it's the way I dress and act, and don't seem to line up with the average person's idea of a CS type. But I think that's a pretty specific stereotype, and most people are probably surprised when a programmer is easy to converse with. And there are a couple of stories like this. And for others, it's simply the fact that they're not men. All the damn time. Once in grad school, I was in the CS department building late at night, and this grad student who didn't know me asked whose girlfriend I was. My in-laws and many friends assumed I was a barista until the year we got engaged. I'm frequently assumed to be a recruiter at conferences, and people assume I do D&I work, that's diversity and inclusion, because I'm not any good at my real job. All the time. While I was eating lunch at reInvent, which is a huge Amazon developer conference, I got asked what company I was a sales rep for, and when I said I was a developer, I got drilled with questions just so we could verify. All I'm trying to say is the experiences here are real, and they're harmful, and they stem from stereotypes. There's a feeling of not belonging and imposter syndrome that can come from these behaviors. I felt it, I made a video about it. And they discourage some of us from taking the plunge into software engineering or computer science, even if we love it, and especially if we're good at it. So if you don't look like an engineer, I don't either. But don't be discouraged, because I was able to find a community that helped me bridge the gap between stereotype and reality. And you can too. We're out there. We in here? So that's about all I wanted to say. Sorry if the topic was a little bit serious. I've got big things planned, a really fun video coming for you later this week. Also, the new episode of Sad Boys is relevant. We talked to Erica Joy Baker about blackness and racial identity, and you can check the description for the link to that. I'll also link some articles down there that were inspirations to this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone, subscribe, all that, but please be cordial and understanding in the comments. We're all in this together, you know? All right, I'll see you next time.